Hey guys, welcome back to Reserved Investments on YouTube. So recently, somebody came in the comment section on one of my videos and said, Sean, you're pretty right on some of this stuff. A CGC graded copy of Giant Size X-Men 1 in 9.8 condition recently sold on an auction platform for $60,000. Then, literally within the same month, another copy sold in 9.8 condition, similar book, for $47,000. So a particular individual wants to know, why is there such a big price difference between these two books, given the fact that they were both sold on established open marketplaces where comic books are routinely sold, and one sold for literally $13,000 less than the other one. So I want to answer this and give details as to why this is a natural occurring phenomenon and why a lot of you guys out there that are speculating on the higher end pool, the top 1% of these markets, are still at risk when you attempt to pay significant premiums for these books in ultra high grade. Now, to be fair, Giant Size X-Men 1 in any condition is not exceedingly rare. There are multiple copies out there, even in 9.8 condition. Now, I know what you're going to say, Sean, if you look at the census, we could call a 9.8 condition copy of Giant Size X-Men 1 as being, quote unquote, rare. And I'm not going to argue with you on that. I would potentially agree with that assessment. But that makes it much more risky over the short term and even over the long term at present time to hold that particular book in your collection. Now, where am I going with this? Well, there's been several videos on this topic already hitting YouTube. And don't get me wrong, I'm not here to cut anybody up. I'm certainly not here to critique any other YouTubers, especially when I'm a little Timmy YouTuber with 6,000 subscribers at present time. So I'm nowhere near being in that position. I respect all viewpoints, all perspectives, even if they're different from my own. But what I will tell you is, every video that I have watched on this particular topic does not hit the nail on the head as to why this particular book, Giant Size X-Men 1 in CGC 9.8 condition, was sold for $60,000 and also sold at auction for $47,000 in the same month. You guys out there that are creating these videos, some of you are very well versed in the overall comic book marketplace. Some of you are very well versed in economics, even finance. But unfortunately, you are missing a big portion of the overall collectibles market that I want to talk about in this video. So where am I going with this particular video? Well, today we are going to be discussing the optimal collecting grade. This is a term that a lot of you are not talking about on YouTube. This is a term that a lot of dealers are not talking about when it comes to any type of third-party graded collectible. And make no mistake, this concept only applies to certain third-party graded collectibles. Now, before we go any further, because I know some of my audience out there has a very low attention span. I can see when I look at the YouTube analytics and people turn the video off after 5 minutes. I want to make sure that I define what the optimal collecting grade is for the Timmies out there that have to thumbs down the video and then leave after 4 minutes. So here we go. Optimal collecting grade refers to the grade of a third-party graded collectible when the next grade up is an unusually large jump in price. The theory is that a graded collectible in the optimal collecting grade should increase in value faster than usual because the price jump for the next higher grade creates more demand for the optimal collecting graded collectible, which is a relative bargain. So you guys understand what I'm stating. If we look at Giant Size X-Men 1, 9.8 condition for that book is not the optimal collecting grade. Now, I know what some of you are going to ask me. Well, Sean, since 9.8 isn't the optimal collecting grade for that book, what is? I'm not going to tell you that in this video. That's not what we're doing here. We are not analyzing this market just yet. We are defining the terms, and I'm telling you how to apply this concept. Then in a future video, I will break down certain collecting categories, and I will go through and I will show you certain price points for these items and explain what is the optimal collecting grade for a lot of the items that you guys are trying to invest in or speculate in. Now, do you guys get the overall concept? This is a key concept that actually originated with the grading of coins, believe it or not. In the mid-1980s, when coin grading came to the scene with third-party graded companies like NGC, PCGS, encapsulating all these coins that were selling for thousands of dollars in the secondary market, one of the things that became vital was the differences between grades, whether we're looking at a Mint State 63 coin, a Mint State 64 coin, a coveted MS65, which is gem. For those of you that know coin collecting lingo, coins utilize the Sheldon grading scale of literally 1 to 70. That's how coins are graded. It's a very different and unique system than that of other collectibles that tend to go from 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. So coin collecting is more of almost a combination of art and science. Eye appeal matters, luster matters, original finish matters. There's a lot of things that go into coin grading. Now, one interesting thing, if you do collect coins and you get any of the modern edition red books that break down certain types of coins, like this one is devoted to Morgan silver dollars. If you open this up, and I actually have this bookmarked to an 1891 Carson City Morgan silver dollar. If you look at this book, it'll even tell you what the optimal collecting grade is. So for instance, if you're gonna try to invest in an 1891 Carson City Morgan silver dollar, the optimal collecting grade to get that coin in is MS64. The reason for that is, according to this book, and I just want to state, most of these prices are going to be out of date because this book is now several years old. But let me give you an example. An MS63 condition, 1891 Carson City Morgan silver dollar, according to this book, is worth $750. Well, an MS64 of that same coin is worth $1,200, and an MS65 is worth $4,250. Then, if you would get up to an MS66, you would honestly be almost in the stratosphere. You'd be paying tens of thousands of dollars for that particular coin if one exists in that particular condition. So that's where they came up with the optimal collecting grade. For an item like this, the reason why they're telling you to go after an MS64 is because it's kind of a little bit of a price bump above the MS63, which is going to set you back $750, but it is nowhere near the amount that you're going to pay for an MS65, which is $4,250. So at this level, the coin that you want to go after, if you're going after an 1891 Carson City, is a MS64, which is going to set you back $1,200. That's why this information is vital for a lot of collectors, speculators, investors, and even dealers out there. If you talk to coin dealers, they actually use this stuff like it's a freaking science. They literally are all in, most of them, not all, but most of them are into understanding the optimal collecting grade. Because back when you learned coin collecting, back in the 80s and 90s, if you were right there along with the developments in the trade, learning this stuff, it was drilled into your head to go after items that are graded and have great eye appeal that meet the criteria for being the optimal collecting grade. Now, when we apply this to other third-party graded collectibles, there are pluses and minuses. Now, I'm putting this towards the end of the video because I know at this point, we're almost 10 minutes into the video, most of the Timmies, Kimmies, and Poindexters, they've already left. They're no longer here because they don't want to hear me talk about rare coins, and that's fine. You know what? I say all the people that want to be here right now are here. So let's continue our journey with this subject matter. You have to be careful how you use this concept. This concept cannot be applied to speculative third-party graded collectibles that are not selling on an established market. So your Pokemon cards, your Magic the Gathering cards, your graded video games, your Marvel Universe trading cards, and your garbage pail kids, along with most, not all, modern era sports cards, copper era age comic books, and modern era comic books are excluded from the optimal collecting grade. Now, I know what you're going to say. Sean, why is that? Why are you doing that to us? Why are you telling us that certain Magic the Gathering cards, certain vintage Pokemon cards, certain comic books of the copper or modern era, this concept cannot apply, especially with video games, now that we have video game grading? The reason being is the markets are too new and speculative. Optimal collecting grade is linked directly to value. If we look at a first edition, first print, whatever we're calling it, Legend of Zelda graded video game by Wada in 9.2, 9.4 condition from 1987. You guys know the one, the coveted gold cartridge that came out for the Nintendo Entertainment System. We do not yet know how many copies exist and are being graded. Thank you, Wada, by the way, for still not releasing population reports on the items that you grade. Just want to say how great that is to try to figure this stuff out with no transparency in the market. But aside from that, we also don't know a stable value. It's too new. The same thing can be said for vintage Pokemon cards, for vintage Magic the Gathering cards, for most modern era sports cards, and for some comic books. However, you can apply the optimal collecting grade for a lot of your Golden Age, a lot of your Silver Age, and even most of the Bronze Age comic book keys out there. So for instance, if you want to analyze the market for giant size X-Men 1 in CGC 9.8, 9.6, 9.4, 9.2 condition, feel free to do so. And you're going to come to certain conclusions. One of the things that a lot of you are going to realize is that buying a 9.8 condition copy of most comic books that are not rare, but just scarce in that particular grade or condition is not a wise idea. That is why this wonderful person that paid $60,000 for a giant size X-Men 1 in CGC 9.8 condition overpaid for that particular collectible compared to the guy who paid only $47,000 for his copy of giant size X-Men 1 in CGC 9.8 condition. Do you guys understand how complex these markets are? These markets are on par with the complexity of Wall Street, financial stuff like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, even cryptocurrency, real estate. If it is something that can be invested in, guys, there's a lot of principles that a lot of the collecting forums, that a lot of the speculators, that a lot of the market manipulators out there, that a lot of the market makers, a lot of the Timmies out there, they either don't know or they don't want you to know. That's why I started this particular YouTube channel. Whether you like it, whether you hate it, whether you love me, whether you hate me, that's what we do here at Reserved Investments. I teach you guys the honest truth as to how these markets work. So please, do not be a Timmy with $60,000 who goes to the market and buys a giant size X-Men 1 in CGC 9.8 and overpays for it because he doesn't understand the concept of not only supply and demand, but also going after an item that has an optimal collecting grade. Thanks for watching. Let me know your feedback below. I'm sure a lot of you have learned something from this today. I'm curious, though, to know your feedback and insights. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.